Chapter 11. We decided to sit and hash things out with the ogres the next day. We chose the log house built atop the recently burned out public square in the center of the village. I guided the ogres to the house's reception room, looking around to make sure everything was built as I ordered. They meekly followed behind, eagerly looking around the house like it was a novelty. There was zero decoration yet, so I don't know what enthralled them so much, but whatever. The reception room had a large table, along with a few simple stools encircling it. We were all gathered there: Ren, Rigurd, the 4 goblin lords, and Kaijin the dwarf as a mediator. 14 in all, counting me. I started by asking why they were there in the first place. They replied that they were fleeing in order to regroup and rally themselves. That, in itself, was disquieting. I had a feeling this would go on a while. To sum up the ogres' story, there was a war, and the ogres lost. That was about it. They attacked our homeland out of nowhere, the red hare muttered angrily. Their power was overwhelming. Those hideous pigs, those orcs. If only I were stronger, the red hare groaned. The last thing he saw was the orcs, clad in black armor, delivering the final blow on his leader. A giant orc, one that let off an eerie aura. And one other, a figure who didn't bother to hide their own brutally dark aura, one who wore a mask that looked a bit like an angry clown. Indeed, the elder added. We jumped to conclusions about all of you because we saw that fiend in action. We thought you were one with them. Yeesh, really, cute lil old me, getting lumped in with this murderous freak. The way they put it bruised my ego a bit, but then again, I was wearing a mask of my own back there. Perhaps it was natural to associate me with that magic-born guy. You know, Kaijin offered, they might be in cahoots with one of the demon lords. Demon lord? Shizu's face flashed across my mind, her final words echoing alongside it. Leon, the demon lord, the foe I'd promised to defeat. I decided to hear everyone out. We believe the orcs are seeking to seize leadership over the forest, Rigurd said after I prompted him with a glance. Everyone was looking at me now. Fight them, run, or join their alliance. The way the ogres were acting, they knew that we could be enemies once again, depending on my decision. Suddenly things were far more intense. But I didn't care. So what are you people gonna do? I asked the ogres. What do you mean? I mean, what's your future direction? Are you gonna run so you can fight another day, or just hide out somewhere instead? 'Cause if you were planning to run, I was just wondering if you had someplace in mind. Is it not obvious? We will build our strength, wait for an opening, and challenge them again. Precisely. We must avenge our lord. As must I. We are all but powerless right now, but I refuse to let those 2-legged pigs live. The ogres certainly had an answer. They must have resigned themselves to this from the start. Even back in our own fight, there wasn't a single hint of hesitancy clouding their eyes. They must have known it would mean their lives, but I had to respect it. Despite how cornered they were, they still had the dignity to not kill any of the hobgoblins. I had a feeling I'd regret it if I let them march off to their deaths. Hey, you guys interested in joining my side? Rimuru. What are you, ogre? I put it clearly enough, didn't I? If you guys were working as mercenaries anyway, why don't you work for me instead? If you wanna fight for your old lord, I'd be happy to hire you to do that. Rimuru. Ogre. If you agree to serve me, I think I might be able to make your dreams come true. 2. Rimuru. How, exactly, ogre? Simple. If you join me, I promise I'll fight with you if something comes up. I never abandon my companions, and if you let me hire you on, I will be glad to cooperate with you. I see. So we protect this village, and in turn, the village protects us. Not a bad proposal. In fact, it is a welcome one. We could use this place as a base to assemble the resistance forces we need against the pigs, ogre. Yeah, exactly, I replied. We're gonna be fighting anyway. You might as well come along for the ride. Rimuru. And could this agreement stay in place until the ringleader of the orcs is defeated? Ogre. Sounds perfect to me. You'd be free to do whatever you like once the matter with the orcs is settled. You could work with me to build a nation, go out on a journey, whatever. What do you think, Rimuru? The red-haired ogre thought this over for a few moments while the others remained politely silent. They must have respected his decision-making skills. He closed his eyes, then opened them once more. Very well, he said. We will serve under your leadership. Right, let me give you people names, then. Rimuru. Please, wait a moment. The pink-haired ogress explained. Giving a name can be a very risky maneuver. We had best begin with those of a higher ranking first. No, quit worrying, I said, ignoring the pink hair. It'll work out just great. The red-haired guy became Benimaru. The princess became Shuna. The white-hair old man became Hakuro. The blue hair became Soe. The purple hair became Shion. Finally, the black hair became Kurobe. I was pretty satisfied with my choices. I came up with them almost immediately, like a divine revelation of sorts. But as I patted myself on the back, I suddenly began to feel drained and I fell into sleep mode. Wah, a slime, how on? You were a slime all along. I was too weak to respond. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. A night passed. Once I finally woke up I saw all 6 ogres standing before me. Benimaru and his friends had evolved from ogres to ogre mages, a natural progression like the one from goblins to hobgobs. It made for a showier looking creature, but if anything, their strength received the biggest upgrade. I'd say they were all past a rank now. At first I thought it might be a mistake, but no. All of them. No wonder they robbed me of all my magic. Benimaru goes, Sir Rimuru, we have a request. Please, we beg of you to accept our solemn oath of fealty. Geez, you don't have to get all formal about it. Just because you're my mercenaries doesn't mean I want you groveling at my feet. What? I told them they were free to go once this little skirmish was wrapped up, but I guess Benimaru and his people had other plans. They must have talked this out among themselves in advance. Please, give us your benevolent aid. They now intoned in unison. I had no reason to say no. But were they really okay with nothing but some meals and floor space in a cabin? That bothered me, but if that was what they wanted, I might as well believe in them. I didn't want them to fight with old, banged-up crap. So I took them all to Garm's cabin. Hey, boss, he greeted me, smiling as he stopped working. Those the new ogre friends we've got? You sure about that? 'Cause they sure don't look like ogres to me, but... He looked pretty surprised, his eyes right on Shion's chest. Is it? Well, there you have it, I guess. You think you could make some clothing and armor for them? Rimuru. Oh, yeah, sure thing. Garm still seemed dubious but refrained from commenting further as he brought the ogres inside. I was sure he'd be measuring them all shortly. Hakuro was good to go as is, and Kurobe apparently borrowed a few days' worth of outfits from Kaijin. Simple work clothes, really, but Kurobe seemed happy enough with them. Their measurements taken, Benimaru and Soe stepped back outside, dressed in fur outfits. People that handsome, they look good in anything. I am so jealous. Where's Shuna and Shion? Ah, yes, about that. Benimaru was a little reluctant to explain. After prodding him a bit, I learned that the two were apparently unsatisfied with wearing simple fur. Given how fancy Shuna's royal vestments were, I guess I couldn't blame her. She said she'd just fix up her own outfit, finding bear fur to be too itchy for her tastes. Princess Shuna, you see, Soe said, is quite gifted with sewing and such. One of the best among us, in fact. I assigned them to work they are most proficient in, and left everything else on Ren to handle. With these orders placed, we all took our leave from the workshop, except Shuna. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Several days passed. I had worried at first that Benimaru and the ogres might not get along so well with my people, but I guess I had nothing to worry about. To hobgoblins, ogres were a rank or two higher on the pecking order, but the goblins had the capacity to accept them as their own. And since ogres weren't too keen to pick on those who were weaker, they were practically worthy of worship as far as goblins were concerned. Kurobe making swords, Shuna sewing clothes, and Soe gathering information like a spy. I had everyone humming along, really. Orc Lord, I asked, what's that? Quote, simply explained. It's a monster, Benimaru replied. Hey, I whined, that's too simplified. Swoosh, a wooden blade hailed towards me. I quickly used my wooden sword to block it, and jumped backwards. Ho ho, you really dare to talk, Hakuro continued. It was Rimuru-sama that wished for me to provide guidance. A few days ago after I learned from Benimaru that Hakuro was their instructor in sword training, so I decided to make Hakuro official instructor. It will help hobgobs learn sword skill which might come in handy in future. In addition to that, I decided to appoint Benimaru as my samurai general. He will be responsible for running my nation's military affairs. After that, Shion got jealous of Benimaru and Hakuro, so I appointed her as my royal guard. Her duties will remain chiefly secretarial. I also decided to give the title to the other 3 too. Shuna the Oracle, Soe the Covert Agent, and Kurobe the Swordsmith. Currently Hakuro was training Hobgobs, Benimaru and me. While training Benimaru and I started talking about the Orc army and the topic of the Orc Lord came. Can I and Benimaru take a break? I asked Hakuro. Hakuro nodded and started training Hobgobs. Benimaru and I went to the shadow of a nearby tree and continued our discussion. After a while a figure suddenly appeared next to Benimaru. It was Soe, and it looked like he had pretty much jumped right out from Benimaru's shadow. Upon noticing me, Soe fell to one knee. I have something to report Rimuru-sama, he barked. Why yeah, surprised I asked, what is it? I witnessed a group of lizardmen on the move. Spotting them so far away from the marshes they call home seemed highly unusual, so I thought it best to report to you as quickly as possible. Soe seemed perfectly serene. His breath wasn't ragged or anything, but I was sure he must have hurried right over. My sense heat source skill told me his body temperature was slightly higher than normal. Lizardmen, that is odd, Benimaru said thoughtfully. It appears, Soe replied, they are negotiating with the goblin villages nearby. Got it, I ordered Soe, keep an eye on them. Yes, Rimuru-sama, Soe said and disappeared. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Several days had passed since I had appointed my pseudo-cabinet of ogre mages. Benimaru was conferring with Rigurd and the other elders about how to keep this town secure. I had established a new department of the army and left him in charge, although the only other member at this point was Hakuro. Rigurd and the rest of the town's security force were busy securing food and natural resources. I couldn't draft them into the army that easily. I'd probably have to reorganize them at some point and field volunteers. That appeared to be what Benimaru was talking about with Rigurd. I'd like to create an organization suited for combat, he told me, selected from worthy candidates willing to dedicate themselves to battle duty. Would that be all right with you? Sure, I said. Sounds great. Let me know once you've got a roster handy. Now all military-related issues are Benimaru's problem and administration-related problems are Rigurd's problem. If they can't deal with that, Ren will take care of that. Now I am pretty much free. I am only charged with making the final decisions. They can do the rest of the work. Oops, now was no time for mulling over this. I had my own practice sword in hand. Manifesting as an adult slowed down my reaction time, so I just have focus on improving my skills to make up. I am having practice session with Hakuro. I used my wooden sword to strike at him. But he blocked it, but continued exchanging blows. I am barely able to keep up with him, but thanks to Matheno my sword skills are rapidly improving. Ho ho ho, Rimuru-sama has quite a lot of talent for the sword, Hakuro said, smiling like a doting grandfather. At this rate you will surpass my sword skills soon. Right, I said, one more time, then. Before we could make another move, though, we heard the sound of a large bell ringing. Something had triggered Soe's alarm system. So we headed for Rigurd's residence instead. Rigurd ran right up to us once we were in sight. He tended to do that a lot. Maybe my mere presence stressed him out a little. I have news to report, Rimuru-sama, Rigurd said, half in a panic. A lizardman envoy has come to visit. I headed for the town's entrance to greet this envoy. They hadn't arrived yet, instead sending an advance messenger who told us to bring everyone in the village out front. I asked why the guard didn't just shrug him off, but he was riding a hover lizard, a fairly large mount reserved only for the night classes, and I'm sure that must have made Rigurd pee his pants. There were 6 of us there at the entrance: me, Ren, Rigurd, Benimaru, Shion and Hakuro. I made sure everyone knew to tread carefully. Absolute politeness, unless I say otherwise, I said. By the time we heard the full lizardman envoy thundering toward us, about an hour had passed from the initial alarm call. I reverted to slime form, enlisting Shion to hold me in her arms. Just in case, I explained. I couldn't help but feel overall safer as a slime. There were around 10 lizardmen, and after a moment, one of them, chest puffed out, dismounted his hover lizard and sauntered up. The leader, I guess. Thank you for greeting me. I gabble will give this village, too, the chance to submit to my rule and authority. I hope you will consider it an honor. I gave Rigurd a glance. He was silent, mouth agape. Benimaru was scratching his head, looking at me like he was asking permission to rip this guy apart. I wasn't about to give it, but I still wasn't sure how to react. I was struck dumb. Hakuro crossed his arms and closed his eyes, wordless. Was he sleeping? Xian, meanwhile, still had me in her arms, which she had tensed up out of anger. Whoa, you're crushing me, lady. Noticing me, Ren quickly snatched me from Xian. And then she scolded Xian. Xian apologized, breaking into a cold sweat. Well, focusing on Envoy, I had no idea the Envoy would be such a damn fool. Okay, I said, trying to move things along. I guess I'm the one who tamed the direwolves. Or, more like made friends with them, maybe. Huh, you, a lowly slime. Enough joking, let me see some evidence. Then I'll decide whether to believe you. I occasionally had to deal with company presidents and government officials in my construction job back home, but not even they treated me like such an idiot. One thing I learned quickly with those guys was that the only way to beat them was refuse to play their game in the first place. Teaming up with idiots would earn you nothing. So I decided to switch tactics. Ranga, here, master. He stepped out from my shadow. He had been adopting it as a sort of standby post as of late, another way to adapt shadow motion, I supposed. Good. This guy wanted to ask you a thing or two. Could you hear him out? So Ranga, accepting my order, turned to face the lizardmen. A single glare from him was enough to make even the stout-looking guards in their iron chest pieces take a step back in self-defense. And why wouldn't they? Ranga was huge, not shrunken down at all. The whole of him was right there. My master has ordered me to interact with you. Speak, and I will listen. Ah, yes, it is you, then, the Alpha, or what have you of the direwolves. I am Gabble, warrior lord of the lizardman tribe. I am charmed to make your acquaintance. I am, as you have just heard, a named lizardman. Will you abandon this slime and join with me instead? Envoy, you filthy lizard, how dare you mock my master? He gritted his teeth, eyes turning red as he silently seethed in anger. Not too much, okay, Ranga. I'm not sure if this lizard can take it. If he tried anything funny, well, he had it coming, but I wanted to avoid that if he really was some higher-up lizard guy. Before I could think of doing anything. Very well, Ren interjected with a terrifying smile. If you are capable of defeating me, we will listen to your story. After saying that, Ren passed me to Xian and took battle stance. Ranga threw a signal my way. I nodded in reply. If you wish to lend us your power, he said to Gabble, then show us what you possess first. You may begin. With that, the battle kicked off. Ren, ready for anything, and Gabble, calmly carrying his spear. Ren was bare-handed. It is kind of unfair to use weapon against unarmed person. But Ren doesn't seem to mind it. HMPH, Gabble replied, lecturing his foe despite the fact that the fight had already started. A mere human is no threat to me. We are the lizardmen, the mighty descendants of dragons. Ignoring the boast, Ren started running towards Gabble. Impudent fool, Gabble listlessly muttered as he tried to strike Ren with his spear. Ren jumped and landed behind him and executed a kick. The rear attack came as a total surprise, and he took it straight to the back of his neck, immediately causing him to black out. Ren had aimed right where neither Gabble's armor nor his helmet could protect him, and she aimed well. Even the stoutest built of lizardmen couldn't hold up against a direct attack on such a vulnerable collection of nerves. His scales would keep the blow from turning lethal, but he would no doubt take a while to recover. It is settled. The victor is Lady Ren. Ranga's proclamation was almost drowned out by the cheers and applause from the ogres. A masterstroke, Benimaru said. Indeed, Hakuro said, eyes sharp and focused on Ren. Quite impressive. You have the quality to become a swordsman. I would like to take you as an apprentice. Quote, I would be glad to accept the offer, Ren replied with smile. Damn, being complimented by the likes of Hakuro. This day might just change Ren's life. If that old taskmaster of an ogre sage saw potential in her, I was all for it. Hey, we won, okay. I yelled at them, and I gotta turn down the offer, too, all right. If you want help fighting the orcs, we'll think about that, but for today, you mind leaving us in peace? And don't forget to take him with you. That was enough to stir them to action. And with that, our attempts at a cross-species summit were over. I was happy to see that idiot go, really, but we still needed to formulate a future plan. I gathered us together in a small hut I had built next to the largest lodging quarters in town for meeting purposes, ordering Rigurd to call for everyone else we needed. Most of the town's important figures were there. Among hobgobs, there were Rigurd, Rigyur, Rugurd, Rigurd, Rogurd, and Lilina. They were joined by the dwarf Kaijin and the ogre mages Benimaru, Shuna, Hakuro, Xian, and Soe. 13 in total, not counting me, and they encompassed most of the town's managerial duties, apart from production. Kaijin represented the town's building and production interests. Lilina handled management, and Rogard, and Rigurd were the top political brass. Rigurd was in charge, and the other three were his ministers, although I hadn't assigned them concrete duties yet. Better get on top of that. Benimaru and Hakura were our military, Soe our intelligence, and Rigyur our security. Lastly, Ren overlooks all other departments. She is like my personal assistant who does my job. She also takes care of my personal needs, so she is more like a personal maid. With my signal, Soe began his report. It was generally divided into three parts: the state of things in the other goblin villages, what was going on in the marshlands, and the orcs' advance. Each area had 2 Soe clones devoted to it, nimbly gathering intel. A few were still out in the field, rooting around for more. Finally, I asked about the orcs. The orc force's number. Soe paused for a moment. Approximately 200,000 fighters. 200,000, someone shouted. So, I started speaking. What is the orcs' motive? Quote, Kaijin replied after a moment of thought. From starting, orcs aren't a smart tribe. If this attack is not from their instinct, then there must be someone doing tricks from dark. The possibility of an appearance of an orc lord has increased. Benimaru continued, normally it's impossible for a normal orc to lead 200,000 army members. It's the thing that you mentioned before, a special orc that appears every few hundred years, I asked. Yeah, Benimaru replied. I think that it's better for us to be alert about its existence than thinking it doesn't exist, Ren interjected. That's true, I replied. As I continued the conference, but suddenly, Soe stiffened, wincing. Soe, do you have anything to say? I asked. Well, he began, one of my replication clones has made contact with someone who insists upon communicating with you, Rimuru-sama. What do you think? For me, I asked, who is it? If it's that person's gabble, I don't want to hear any more. I also don't want to meet any weirdos. Quote, though, Soe replied, it's not weird but quite rare, it's Dryad. All right, I'll meet with her. Guide her over here, I ordered. To be continued.